Show, where conversation is art, 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 art. Conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what to spark on the Val Val Show. Ain't no telling the Val Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val Val, the Val and Val Show, the Val and Val Show.
Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, everybody? The last show of the year on the Val and Val Show. We are so glad you have decided to tune in and check us out to see what's in store right here on the Val and Val Show. This evening, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say hello. Hello, Valerie.
Hello, Valton. How art thou?
Thou art fine, thank you. We can come off of the thespian level now. We're only acting. So everybody, we hope that you've had a great week thus far and that you have gotten your Christmas shopping done. But don't forget the reason truly for this season. It's not really to give anybody gifts in as much as it is to give praise to God for allowing Jesus, his only son, to come to this earth to show us the way, a redemptive way of living. So I hope you all will understand what I'm saying. Gift giving is fine. But remember, the Lord gives us a gift of eternal life if we are willing to accept it. So with that thought in mind, we're going to use our minds tonight in this show and in this segment because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. So Valerie, tee it up for us. Let us know what we got going on tonight.
Oh, we have something great and exciting tonight, and it will be very helpful to everyone because whether we realize it or not, we all struggle with mental health issues. It may be temporary, it could be a permanent diagnosis, but it's just part of life. So, in our community, and when I say our community, I mean the Black community and other people of color, it's a big stigma. So, we have two gurus, experts who I've known a long time who have jumped into this game, and they have a great, great vision and mission that they are going to share with you themselves. But before I bring them in, I'm just going to do a big build up. Ladies and gentlemen, we
What in
have
the world is
tonight
that? What was that?
in the left corner. I'm just
Contender
kidding.
number one.
Now I'm going to bring them in. I'm bringing up Miss Valencia Pruitt
Valencia
Hello.
Pruitt.
and Miss Tangy Macon.
Hello. Good
Hello,
evening.
ladies. Hello, ladies.
And welcome to our show, Conversation is Art. You all, we are live streaming here on Facebook as well as YouTube. Conversation is Art, the Val and Val show in both places. And you all, I love these ladies. We grew up together, literally.
Absolutely.
Attended the same church.
Yeah.
Valencia, and as you see, we got triple Vals tonight.
No,
Valencia
right?
said
Trifecta
that
Val.
Tangia was here. That Tangia was here tonight. So look, these ladies, both of them are licensed social workers. They're also licensed counselors. And I start with Miss Valencia first. Miss Valencia was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. She's a native of this place. She stays in the College Hills community. Shout out to College Hills. I'm
Shout
sure
out to the hill.
that's right. That's right. So she has been a licensed social worker since 1992. She has a master's degree. And as I said, she is certified in grief and bereavement. I mean, she got a whole lot of accolades behind her name. So I'm just gonna leave those with you. Now we have Miss Tangy Macon, her partner. And Tangy is a native of Auburn, Alabama. And we just gonna let that stay right there. Y'all know who she a fan of, right?
There you go.
Who Tuskegee? Who Tuskegee?
That's good though. That's good. We
Mhm.
look, we're all diverse.
Amen.
And Tanja also has her master's degree in social work, and she's Alabama A&M. So we got the HBCU in the
Bulldog.
house,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and she has
She's a
been.
war dog.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a clinical social. She was a clinical social worker at Cooper Green Hospital, and we both worked there
Yeah.
in St. George's Clinic. So that was our HIV clinic, you all. So you
Mhm.
know definitely that counseling and mental health was definitely a great aspect of that. These ladies just, I think it was during the pandemic, didn't you all?
Absolutely.
Yeah, officially they launched Willow
Mm-hmm.
Grace Wellness Center,
Say
and
that
I can
again.
tell Willow
Your
Grace.
grace.
What, you have a website?
We do. It's
Now,
willowgracewellness.com.
Valerie, would you mind please sharing that with our listening audience?
If you just hold your mule,
I
I'm gonna
can't. I
get
don't have
to
one. I got a horse.
So you got a horse, not a
Yeah,
mule.
I ain't got a
Hey,
mule.
look.
It was definitely the start of the pandemic. Tangi and I had been talking about it, and we decided that we wanted to be a blessing to the community. And it was in January that we actually found a location for Willow Grace Wellness, and we looked at a couple of places that didn't fit the bill, and God led us to a place that was the right price and in the right location. And we jumped on it and opened our doors and said, we're going to do this. And then the pandemic hit and everything shut down.
Yep.
And we were like, wow, so we started out selling a wonderful t-shirt that Valerie is wearing. God said, if you believe in your vision and what you're going to do, how you going to make it come to pass? And I was like, well, we don't have a location. What can we do? He said, well, do something. So he gave me the idea to sell those t-shirts to educate and eliminate and eradicate the stigma associated with mental health in the African-American community. And that's why it has those vibrant yaman colors to attract our people, to end the stigma. And so we sold hundreds of those. I think it was probably about 300 or 400 of those t-shirts out there somewhere. And we appreciate all the support. But,
and not necessarily in Alabama, they were sold all across the
United States. I had
Oh.
people sending me pictures from Florida and Virginia and everywhere that were representing our shirts, and we appreciated that. But we found a location.
Let me make this disclaimer for those who are listening. They said they sold T-shirts and other items, ladies and gentlemen. They did not mention they paid taxes, but they did pay taxes on that stuff. So don't try to be funny and come back and say they did, because I already know they
paid taxes.
Yeah, we paid taxes on it. But what God did was he let us use that revenue to generate the monies and the resources that we needed to get our doors open. The pandemic hit, and we just kind of continued to set our office up until October.
That's awesome.
We actually started seeing clients in October of 2020. And God has been blessing us since that time. I think since 2020, October 2020, we probably had more than probably about 24 people or so to come through our office.
Let me ask this question. So when people want to come to you or do come to you, how are you compensated through that? Do they have to have insurance, or do they do a pay-go type of situation?
Right now, we're not taking insurance, but there might be a goal later on. The initial assessment is $40, and it lasts about 30 to 40 minutes. And then session is $75. And the way you get to us is on the website there. We would prefer you go on the website, fill out the intake, and somebody will get back with you just as soon as you complete that intake. So we're there. It's a way for us to get those intakes immediately. It doesn't take more than 24 hours to somebody contact you and follow back up. So yes, we're there, and we're able to receive the intakes immediately.
Cool.
We do have the opportunity for you to be super bill, though. That's one option.
Super bill?
Yes, look like she stopped, but super bill is when we can give you a bill for the session, and then you can get reimbursed by your insurance. You can send it in just like, a payment of anything. You can send it back in with a receipt, and then they'll reimburse you for being seen.
So is that something they would have to get approved for first?
Generally, we tell them that they can call their insurance and verify that they can do a super bill. And usually nobody's really turned down as long as they have official a receipt. They can get reimbursed for that.
Okay, well, that's good. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see, they have a way for you to get a care. And also, I'm sure if you had something come up, financial hardship, you have to have a conversation with someone. Now, you all, they can't do this for free. Let's get free out.
Right.
Thank you, Val. Let's get free out, but these prices, they're very reasonable.
Absolutely,
and they're reasonable.
If you look into mental health services,
and if you don't have it, we can work with you.
Yeah, we will work with you. Some individual sessions are over $100 per session. Some of them are as much as $125 per session. So we wanted to keep prices affordable so that we can.
You broke up on us. What you said? Hello?
Yeah, Valencia, you seem to be having some connection issues.
Tanya, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Here.
Actually, the going rate for reimbursement for insurance is $125 per hour visit. So we wanted to make it, more affordable for those that can't really afford it. And then, of course, right now we're not, accepting insurance, but that's going to be the ultimate goal later on to really be able to accept insurance.
Okay.
Well, look, Tanya and Valencia, I have a question for you all. So how do you all decide to become partners? And though I love the name, the Willow Grace. So answer those two things: how you decided to become partners, and how do you all come up with the name?
I'm gonna do how we became partners. We've been knowing each other forever and a day through New Rising Star, our church families. But one day she called me, and she said, "Girl, I was wondering, had you ever considered starting a counseling service?" I said, "Val, you're not gonna believe this." I said that was going to be my ultimate goal, was to start a counseling session and to offer therapy sessions. And just as soon as, she just called me out of the blue. So that with nobody but God that she called me out of the blue like that. She didn't even know that I had those desires or anything. So, and we went from there. So, Val, you can pick it up from there. Oh, she's not there.
She left.
Well, anyway, we started meeting about the name. We went around about what names we wanted to use, but ultimately we came there now.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Okay. So talk to me about Willow Grace and how we came up with the name.
Oh, how did we come up with the name Willow Grace? Well, for me, the tree represents, we refer to them as weeping willow trees. Anyway, that's what most people call them. They're very distinct. You recognize them when you see them out of any other tree. They're very recognizable, but they also have very strong roots, extremely strong roots. And it just reminded me of our culture, because there are many times that we appear to be sad and weeping because of so many disparities and things that we struggle with in our community. We may appear to be weeping, but we're still very strong as a culture. I think that's what I was thinking of when I chose Willow, and I chose Grace because we all deserve grace. We all get God's unmerited and unfavored grace. He gives us grace all the time. His grace is amazing, and we need to be kind to ourselves and extend grace to ourselves. And a lot of times we're not willing to do that. So if we can extend grace to ourselves and check on our mental health, we can, improve our state of mind, as we all need to.
That's very good. I like that. Willow weeping and the strength of the root, because we all come from some level of strength.
Absolutely.
And in moments of life, we do have some periods when we weep. Jesus wept.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
So we're resilient.
Yeah, what comes to mind is the film that I have created by God's grace.
Oh, wow.
We have a episode that I'm writing that's going to deal with mental health. And I was wondering, how could I put that in the film? So I was thinking about calling around to different organizations to see about them loaning me a person and doing a real piece, because what happens, the young man who is killed in the film has a son, and that little boy needs to have some mental health
Right.
to let folks realize and understand it's okay to go and get some help.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I'm saying all that to say we will have an offline conversation.
Yes.
So Willow Grace can help Welcome to Denver Heights take it to another level.
Absolutely.
Wow, absolutely.
So look, so let's get to the why we're really here tonight. And of course, we know it's the holiday season,
Mhm.
and people, the holiday blues as we call it. And
Mhm.
we're still in the midst of this
COVID.
ever seem spiraling pandemic.
Mhm.
Also, we've gone through political turmoil, racial turmoil. So in my lifetime, in my 56 years, and in my understanding years, this is the most challenging time I've had in my life. I'll share this. For me, my husband had a pulmonary embolus a year ago in October, and that was traumatizing to me. And my background is an ER nurse, so I recognize for me that was a situational trauma and some
Right.
depression that I had, and in the midst of him having that, one of my best friends died from COVID. Then my husband, his son's Barbara died from COVID. Then as soon as we got over that, discovered my son's it was his AAU coach died from COVID. So October, November, December was
Right.
like boom, boom, boom. And the only reason I knew I needed to talk to someone was by being in healthcare so long. But so many times in our culture, we take resilience a little bit far in
Too
that
far. Mhm.
death and traumatic things that happen, we just keep pushing, and then we spiral out. So what are some of the things you've seen in the past 3 to 4 years, as well as what are some of the things you have counseled people to do to try to get through?
You want to speak, Tim?
Mhm. Well, it's a lot of anxiety, it's a lot of frustration, and then, and because of all of that you've mentioned, the unrest, racially, politically, and then the COVID, people just feel like they're just lost. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do. And you talk to them and they just feel blah. And you try to instill in them that it's going to get better, to really, accept what you're going to, accept that you are depressed. Not necessarily accept it, but sit with it for a minute. Try to process that. What does that mean? How did you get here? Then what can you do about your situation? Do you have control of it? If you don't have control of it, how are you going to deal with it from this forth on? And what we try to do is give them some activities, some things that they can do to seems like they're in control of their mental health.
Yeah, I think it's important to do a self-check. You need to be able to check your own boxes and know and be able to admit the fact that I'm not okay. I'm not feeling like myself. Be able to admit that something's off. A lot of times people will just try to grind harder or ignore what they may be experiencing, or people may bring it to their attention, but they disregard it. But we've really got to have this self-awareness.
Yeah.
Where we are able to check in with ourselves and say, you know what, I need to see somebody, or I just need to check in with somebody. When different things happen, your sleep may be off, your eating patterns may be off. You may be lethargic when you're with your family. You're not interested in engaging in things the way you once were. You don't have the motivation and the drive at work that you once had. It's so many different things. You're irritable. You're drinking more. Then you go to these negative coping skills like drinking too much or smoking too much or having too much sex. All of these things are things that we do to try. Yes, sir. We try to cope in every way that we can. But we really, really need to back up and look at what's happening within. And we have a tendency not to want to deal with our emotions. We want to stuff everything. And the pandemic,
we want to pretend like it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Especially in the Black community, we want to we're resilient. We ain't got to expose none of this stuff. We're gonna rise and we're gonna rise above it. And then, to be honest with you, especially African American women, we have an issue with just really coming to grips with we need help.
Right.
And we need to be able to tell folks about it, especially mental health professionals. And the biggest thing we get is people scared we're going to tell their information or tell their business. And we have to go through this thing about, listen, I'm a professional.
Right.
I will lose my license and my ability to make money if I would violate your HIPAA rules.
Right.
And that's not one of my things that I want to do, is lose my job or my license.
Right.
We
So
have to give it a try.
someone has asked, is Willow Grace open daily?
Right now, both of Tangi and I Tangi is still at the VA, and I am an eating disorder therapist. So during the day, we are in our respective jobs, but we have noticed that most people prefer evening appointments.
Yeah.
They don't want to miss time from work. They would rather come after work or after school. So we start seeing clients in the afternoon around 3:30 p.m. And we also have weekend appointments. So we're available on Saturday. So we make it convenient. Also, there are some Friday earlier slots between 11 and 4 p.m. that I can see people on Fridays as well.
Well, so Val, now you're telling about all the in person now, and this look, since we're in this virtual world now, do you all have the opportunity for people to do Zoom or another platform?
Just a lot of people like to do virtual sessions, and that's available. We do Duo as long as they sign the release saying it's okay to do virtual sessions. Yeah.
Okay, so y'all hear it.
Tangi does more virtual than I do. We have preferences. She does more virtual than I do. I will see you virtual, but I do require that you come in for your initial assessment. I want to check on you before I start seeing you virtually. That's just my personal preference. But there are many therapists out there that start out doing telehealth, and they don't require that. But I'm masked up. My clients are masked up, and that's one of the protocols that I prefer to implement when I see clients. I need to know that you're okay before I see you virtually.
Yeah, I can understand that, Melissa, because sometimes people can fake you out.
Yeah, it just depends on what they're coming for. You need to assess what they're coming for, and then you make the decision whether or not, I need you to come in and we'll see you for a while. Or if it's something that we feel comfortable seeing you virtually the entire time for, then that is an option.
Yeah.
Well, look, I have a question, and then let me go on and dive on into this. Now, the church,
okay,
the Black church. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Black church probably has done more damage to mental health because, we just say, get those power scriptures and pray your way through. And then if it really get bad, we'll throw a fast on top of it. And we'll get somebody to touch and agree, which you need to do all of those things. But we seem to skip over this scripture says, in a multitude of counselors,
there's safety.
There's safety. And that's really what we go on right there. That's our underlying scripture. Yeah.
Let me ask this question. Do you think that, for example, in all transparency, I'm a pretty strong person, thankfully, mentally, and not much will rock my boat other than something that happens to my family. So do you think the approach to mental health is different for everybody? Like the scriptures, for example, Valerie was talking about. I draw a lot of strength from the scriptures. Well, other people may not draw that strength. So is it possible that those who seek the mental health route need that more than I would need it?
Absolutely not. I think it's across the board. You have people that are not strong in the faith that need mental health counseling, and you also have people who go to church every Sunday, got keys to it, and sometimes preach. But they also will find themselves in situations that are more than they can bear. Life comes at you fast, as we have heard many times on television. And when obstacles come in and knock you down, I don't care how strong you are. There are some situations that can knock you to your core, and you need to deal with them and be realistic about the fact that I cannot handle this. I am a woman of faith myself, but I can tell you that I have had a therapist. I use my faith as my anchor, but sometimes in the natural, you need to communicate with somebody. I tell you, pray. Absolutely. I will pray with you. I am that therapist. Because what we will do is we will ask people when you come in, are you a person of faith? Do you want to incorporate that into your care? If they say yes, we can do that. If they tell us no, we've been practiced enough in the secular world that we don't have to. But I'm still gonna give you a little Jesus nugget, but I just might not say where it came from. You still gonna get it. You just get it in a different way.
So you like Muhammad Ali?
It's more practical.
Way back. Take that with
It's
you.
more practical. Yes, it's not coming straight from the scripture. It's just practical. You're still gonna get some of it. But you can be we have many clients now that are faith-based, everyday going church people. They are in a storm.
Yep.
They are.
But you know what, Valencia?
Tornado.
But you know what? I think what we have to realize too, even though you are saved and you believe in the word, I like Val. I'm a strong person too. But I think God, I'm at a point to realize that, hey, you need to talk to somebody. I need to process this. Case in point, my mom's birthday was September 21st, which also subsequently is my dad's death day. He died in 2013. She died in 2017. Two years passed, came, it was like, oh, it's mom's birthday, it's dad's death day. This particular September, I'm getting up. The next thing I know, I'm in the bed in the fetal position and I cried for 2 hours.
Absolutely.
And I cried, I grieved it, I embraced it. And then, after it was over, I got up, watched it dry. But I know embracing it and realizing it's okay for me to feel this way. And a lot of times we'll tell people, oh, you need to get over that. Move forward.
And we'll tell them not to cry. And that's the wrong thing to do. Go ahead, deal with it, feel those feelings, and deal with it. Just feel it.
You tell us that when we're little boys. Get up. Boys don't cry.
And I hate that because we have a lot of men out there who are scarred because we've given them that message throughout their lives that real men don't cry, boys don't cry, don't be a punk, you're going to be a sissy. But what we do is we teach these men not to have emotions or to suppress emotions. And then we wonder why they're frustrated, why they're aggravated, why they are irritable all the time, because they have no outlet. They have no release. Because we taught them to suppress emotion because that's what men do. And that is not true. God created emotions. Their emotions, I tell my clients, are indicators of something being right or wrong. Emotions aren't wrong. They're not taboo. There's not good emotions and bad emotions. They're just emotions. So if you're angry, you can be angry, but the Bible tells you to sin not. It's what you do after you realize that you're angry. How do you process your anger? What are you going to do as a result of the anger?
Yeah, but I have a question for you all.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, you said the initial session could be around 45 minutes. How long are the following sessions?
55 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
But it's something that when you come to a therapist, and to just be non-judgmental. When somebody gets there and they want to express all their feelings and concerns, they don't want to be judged. They just want some help, and they want you to listen.
Right.
So, and that's what we give. There's no judgmental attached to it.
Well, let me ask you all this, because in a day where our young men and now our young ladies are in school are labeled as aggressive, and all of that, and a lot of it is due to trauma. It might be the abuse or whatever, be it verbal or physical, or sometimes you could be in a good family where you're in poverty and you don't know where your next meal coming from, and your parents are doing everything they can to just take care of you. So do you see that as a driver sometimes for how a lot of our kids end up becoming a part of the criminal justice system, that they actually need some mental health counseling and other resources, but yet they get labeled?
Oh, absolutely. And then there are many people in prison right now that don't really deserve to be in prison, but they have mental illnesses or mental health concerns that have never been addressed. I mean, there are many, many situations that, especially our youth find themselves in those situations where if they saw a counselor or a therapist, that some of these issues that they're dealing with within the home situations can be dealt with to rectify some of the problems that we see with our youth.
Okay, y'all got another question. Is there an age minimum or max?
Yeah,
no max.
I don't go under 16. Just because with eating disorders right now, I have all adolescents, so I'm comfortable right now dealing with clients as young as 16. Other than that, we're 16 and up.
No,
Okay.
We will
16 and
refer,
up.
if you have a child that needs to be seen, we can try to help you locate
I
someone
understand.
who
Yeah.
practices with adolescents
Okay.
and children.
That's same for you, Tangi?
Same for me. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know when you're dealing with it ain't pediatrics, but the textbook they
Yeah.
consider it pediatrics. Sometimes that can be a slippery slope, and you really need some really more,
You need some
I guess,
professionals to deal with
professional.
those. Yeah.
That's different. That's a
Under
lot
16,
different.
I can't.
Yeah, it's a different scope of
Mm-hmm.
practice. You got to know what scope of practice you're
Mm-hmm.
able to function in and
Mm-hmm.
what modalities of treatment are going to be beneficial to the clients that you see. So when you think about children, play therapy and things like that come into fruition where they are able to use different techniques and strategies to work with them. They also use things like CBT and DBT as well, but it's structured in a way that children can understand. A lot of what we practice is geared more towards adults. So I try my best to limit, seeing clients under the age of 16.
Did you say
Well, let's talk
CBT?
about
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Therapy,
Hmm.
And what's the other acronym?
DBT.
dialectical,
Pardon?
didactical behavior therapy.
Okay. Okay.
So there's different modalities such as those that you use in treatment. So I would tell somebody, especially of the faith base, yes, you can talk to your pastor. You can see your pastor for counseling and support. And research shows us that the African American is going to go to the church for support before they go anywhere else. And that's not wrong. But I am grateful to my pastor and other pastors who are now on Pastor Macon that are making the decision to know that at some point there is a step beyond the faith move that clients actually need therapeutic modalities to strengthen their mental health or even sometimes medications. Medications aren't my first line of defense. Sometimes you can utilize other techniques before you go to medications, but if medications are necessary, there is nothing wrong with taking medicine. You take medicine because you diabetic.
Exactly.
yeah.
See a doctor and take medicine when you have cancer.
Yeah.
So if you have clinical depression, why not seek medication?
Take your medicine. And we need to normalize seeing a therapist. You go to the
Absolutely.
doctor to see everything, see about your high blood pressure, like she said, cancer, diabetes. Well, come see about your mental health. Normalize that.
Mind,
Well,
body, soul.
but this is where I stand. I always say this. I really believe if insurances for sure and as a whole, healthcare gave more to mental health, then you wouldn't even have all these physical
Exactly.
diseases
Mm-hmm.
manifesting.
Because it manifests, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me this. So what do you think is the non-commitment to even address mental health? We know we have healthcare disparities just by us being Black. I mean, even if we are
Mm-hmm.
highly educated, professional, if you don't know, you would be undertreated or not treated in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cases appropriately.
Mhm.
So why do you think it's such a reluctance to deal with the mental health aspect and then to deal with the disparities that cause some of those things?
Well, for number one, we still have a stigma. Nobody wants to admit that they have problems. That's the community issue. That's in the churches. That's in our community. That's even in our homes. Nobody wants to admit that they need to see someone concerning their mental health.
I mean, the
Until
first
we
thing that
can,
people think is, I'm not crazy. And it's not
right,
about this. It's
exactly.
not
And they
being
use that
crazy.
crazy word. Yes.
No, it's not crazy. And we don't normalize it enough. We don't, people that have a therapist don't say, well, I'm going to see my
I'm going to
therapist
a
today, or
therapist.
I'm going to see a therapist. We try to hide it. We don't want anybody to know. It's got to be this hush hush secret that I'm seeing somebody, because the stigma says that, you're supposed to be able to walk by faith and you're not
Yeah.
supposed to have any problems. And so we try to hide it. We feel weak. We feel empowered, less empowered because of the stigma. And that was the whole reason behind the t-shirt, just to strike up conversation
Definitely.
and normalize the fact that it's okay to talk to somebody when you're struggling. And it doesn't mean that you got to be married to a therapist for the rest of your life. If you're doing your work when you come, you don't have to stay there forever and ever. Amen. We don't want you to be with us forever.
No.
We want you to get your deliverance and learn how to
Move
manage
on. Yeah.
all this
So,
skills,
so
distractions.
Valerie, what does that T-shirt say?
It says educate, eliminate,
Eliminate,
eradicate,
eradicate, end the
pound,
stigma.
end mental health stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I got bands too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a T-shirt for you,
Mm-hmm.
sir.
All right, we'll make it I'll tell you what size later.
Yeah, tell me when we log off, but I got you.
Hey,
Okay, so
Valerie told me
look,
y'all like to cook, so
Mm-hmm.
And we like
so
to
look,
eat.
so look, let me ask you all this. So for all the people that's listening and for us too, what can we do to help you all in your charge? What can we do?
I think you're doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're using this platform that you guys have, which is an awesome platform to
Amen.
normalize seeking mental health services, having the conversation about mental health, letting people know that it is okay, letting people have access to people that look like them that also provide these services. Because a lot of times people feel like if I go see a therapist, it's an old white man with a
Mm-hmm.
notepad and I got to lay on the sofa, or
Mm-hmm.
it's like Taraji and Acrimony, and they ask you all these weird
Mm-hmm.
questions and you feel, all this type of stuff that happens. They have these images based on
Yeah.
what they see on TV,
TV.
what
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be like. And we are real people. We are culturally sensitive. Not saying that there aren't Caucasian or other ethnic therapists out there that are not diverse and culturally sensitive, but we are culturally aware where we
Mm-hmm.
understand the lived in African American experience.
Mm-hmm.
You can use slang and I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You don't have to spend
Exactly.
the next
Won't be
20 minutes
offended.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
explain what you
Mm-hmm.
meant by a slang term because I already know,
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a difference. It makes people feel more comfortable when you know somebody can relate to you. So normalizing it that way, talk about it in your church, talk
Mm-hmm.
about it with your family, talk about it in your homes. When you see someone struggling or you think they may be struggling,
Mm-hmm.
ask them, have you ever thought about talking to a counselor? I know someone, or I know someone who knows someone. Normalize.
You
Right.
know, one thing I do, my son, because I was like, no, my baby would not be balling up his feelings. And he had an incident that was very hurtful to him. And I could tell he just needed to cry.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't what we had taught him. It was the peer group and the society were
Right.
also,
Mm-hmm.
they would counter teach what
Mm-hmm.
you've taught. And
Mm-hmm.
I just walked up to him. I said, son, you need to cry. Just lay right here on your mama's shoulder. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did that, he just had a big
Mm-hmm.
release. So what I
Yeah.
love is at 22 now, he's
Mm-hmm.
very in touch with his emotions.
Right.
When it went through COVID and everything with school, trying to juggle that, he reached out to the student assistance
Very
program
good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was
to
very
talk
good.
to talk to
Mm-hmm.
someone. So,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, we do have to normalize, and sometimes you just need to detox your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a
And we
checkup.
here for that too. We're here for that too. We
Yeah.
detox
What
too.
about group therapy? Do you all do group therapy?
That's coming down the pike. I'm looking at doing that right now. Right now, our office is not conducive for it, but as
Okay.
soon as we get a location where we can do that,
Mm-hmm.
certifying ourselves in anger management classes so that we can
Mm.
try to help people with anger management.
Conflict
Um,
resolution.
mhm.
Conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Another area I'm very passionate about is co-parenting. I think there's
Oh
a
yes.
lot of things going on in our community that hurt our children as a result of negative parenting, whether you were never married or whether you're divorced. Children suffer a lot as a
Yes.
result of that. And that's something that I'm also very passionate about is doing co-parenting mediation groups. And we're going to be looking at starting those in the very near future as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's something needed. I know like you, Val, when I went through my divorce, I was very mindful of that. I could tell people I took my daughter to prophylactic counseling. She,
Mhm.
before anything. And when we got to the therapist, like he said, okay, this is interesting that you're doing it. But I wanted to make sure, and like you, Val, you and Alan have been able to do, me and Terrell were able to do, that we had to lay aside, okay, this has come to an end, although it didn't quite come to an end like I thought, because we got remarried. Throw that out there.
That ain't my story.
Yeah, but so look, but we were able to focus on our children, knowing number one,
Absolutely. You
the
put your
marriage is
children
ended.
first. Your
Yeah, the
children have
marriage
to
is
be
ended.
first. You'd be surprised at the people out there. No, you won't, because you understand that there are people out there that are they use their children as pawn. I can't stand when women do that. I can't stand the fact that just because a child looks just like his father, you mistreat that child because he looked just like his daddy. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You setting your child up for a lifetime of misery because of the way you're treating them and the relationship that you have with their parent. That child is a part of both of you. Regardless of what they've done to you, they love both of you. So you've got to learn how to co-parent, as long as you need to make sure that that's a healthy relationship that they have with you and the other parent as well. Even
And
though
and of course you got to protect them from someone that is maybe mistreating them or abusive. Because I know, we was talking about this before we came on, Valencia, about, I'm sure everybody's on Facebook saw this, where this gentleman was videoing. He had killed his girlfriend who he had a child with, and went over to his ex-wife. And in his sharing, of course, it's two sides to every story. He was sharing they were in some type of custody battle and weren't letting him see his children. And he snapped. He just snapped. So you don't know when you're dealing with children and you're keeping one parent away from them, because now we have men that have custody and have those issues. You don't know what people are going through. Y'all know the song we grew up on, "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge." You don't know. So
I like to explain to people about your brain and how your brain operates. Even in crime situations, your amygdala is designed to react when you feel a threat coming. And so if you view that situation as harmful and as a threat to you, your brain gonna automatically react in that way. So you got to really be able to, you need to be on guard so that you know what you're up against sometimes.
yeah, and be prepared. I always tell people, even in marriage or things like that, if you did true pre-counseling for a lot of things, you would be aware of some of the issues that may come up. You can't prepare for everything, but a lot of times we don't prepare. Let me ask you this. Let's go back to, I'll say us probably. Because I know for me, even in some of my counseling sessions, realizing even though I had great parents, they loved me, I was in a safe environment, but I also learned in counseling that some of the stuff that they did, it wasn't healthy for my psyche.
Absolutely.
But it seems so normal that you don't even realize that it's not healthy. So I would tell people that's a good reason to go counseling. So when you identify those things, what are some of the ways people can reconcile those type things that they find from? I learned this as a child, but it really wasn't good for me.
I like to say to people sometimes that we need to be more like sponges. In some ways, there are things that our parents taught us that we can soak up like a sponge and we can hang on to. But in the same respect, there are things that no longer serve us or never served us. We need to wring those things out. You can wring out water out of sponge just like you can soak it up.
Ooh, I like that.
You keep what you need that was healthy and beneficial to you. But once you learn that there were things that were toxic in your home, you don't have to repeat those cycles. You can let those things go. You can break those cycles with support and with help. There's strategies that we use in therapy to help you walk through those things and leave them. I say leave all that stuff in the office. That's why we're working with you. So when you go back out the door, you don't have to have it with you. And it takes time. You can't undo. If you've been in a toxic environment for 25 years, you can't come see me 2 times and expect to be, all things brand new. It don't work like that.
And not only that, you have to do the homework too. You have to put some time into doing what you want, what you need to do to heal yourself. So
Yes,
So
I
that
think
is
healing is layered. Healing is
it's like an
layered.
onion. We say it all the time. It's like an onion. You got to peel back all these layers to get to the core of what you're struggling with. And then a lot of times in the process you get defensive. You get scared. The fear comes in of actually dealing with the reality of what's about to surface. You don't want to say, I hate my daddy.
Mhm.
You
You get
don't want
mad.
to face the reality of the fact that I've been mad at my dad for 20 years. You don't want to say it, but that's the
You get
reality.
mad at the therapist too, because she didn't help you uncover
If
that.
you
You get
realize
mad at
that
the
you were mad
therapist
at
too.
your dad, now you're mad at me.
Mhm.
That's an ouch.
Mhm.
That's
But
why
it's
y'all get that's why y'all get y'all payment up front in it.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
But we forward tough. We can take it. So
We
we,
take it. Mhm.
clients say things to you that come out sideways because it's transference and that kind of stuff. We know that can happen, but we just want to help you get to the core of what brought you to us in the first place. And if you allow yourself an opportunity just to have a like y'all having conversation, talking to a therapist is conversation.
Conversation.
So
No different. Mhm.
even in this holiday season, if you're struggling with seasonal depression, I've had seasonal depression where I know for myself that I don't feel like myself come November through December. I
December.
feel better in
Mhm.
January, but I know it's a reality for me. And I know it stems back to something that happened years ago. And now it continues every year. I notice it, but I know how to
This
cope.
season. Mhm.
Know how to deal with it. I recognize it. But for some people, they don't recognize it. So simple things you can do, like
Uh-huh.
the time of the year when the time changes and it get dark, sometimes that affects people's mood. You need to
Mhm.
know that that's a possibility. Just because it's getting dark earlier, you're not getting the vitamin D that you need. So that means
Mhm.
you may need to go out on your lunch and take a
You take
walk during
them.
the day so you can get those
Mhm.
vitamin D nutrients from the
Mhm.
sun, because it really does impact you. Different things like that.
Mhm.
We can talk to you about,
Mhm.
your screen time at night. You're not getting appropriate rest. We need to cut your screen time. Like we on this
Mhm.
screen right now, this blue
Mhm.
screen. We gonna
Mhm.
be up to 2:30 in the morning because we on
Mhm.
the blue screen.
Mhm.
So let
This
me
is
ask you guys
different
this.
things.
So it's
So
really
you
some
all
practical things that we teach people that they can handle and apply it to their own lives. So it's simple, not necessarily simple, but it's some stuff that they can really use and to apply it to help them.
so as therapists, who do you all talk to people? Not
Absolutely.
not receive information, that's like eating and never going to eliminate. You
Right.
know, do you guys talk to folks as well to build
Yes.
your mental health capacity?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You cannot do this work and talk to people day in and day out and bear their burdens with them without
Get
reaching
help.
out for support yourself. So I always say every therapist needs a
Therapists need a
therapist.
therapist.
So yes, I've had my own therapist. I do
Mhm.
have a therapist. I also have mentors that I can go
Mhm.
to. We talk to each other.
Another.
If,
Yeah.
if Tangent going through something, she may talk to me about it,
Mhm.
or I call another mentor, somebody in the field. We need that support, just as anybody else would need that support. So if you got a therapist that has never seen a therapist, I would push.
Something wrong. Mhm.
And
Something
look,
wrong.
I'll share this with me and Valencia. We talk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We talk. Sometimes she'll send me a message, and it can be so random, some simple that you
Mhm.
send somebody. I know I'm big on sharing. I'm a YouTuber, y'all. I was a YouTuber before it became popular because there's so many things that you can get information. Now, all of it ain't good, y'all. You gotta be discernful.
Decipher. Yeah.
But motivational things that will just give people a glimmer of hope. Because one thing when I led the singles class at church, I used to always tell them, isolation, and what I mean by this type isolation, you
Mhm.
withdraw from people because you're
People.
feeling
Yeah.
down and
Mhm.
sad. Not if you're going into a spiritual consecration. That's something different. I used to
Mhm.
always tell them, I said, isolation will lead to desecration and
Yes, it will.
annihilation.
Mhm.
And I
Absolutely.
remember this, and probably some of y'all parents did this. I can remember being young, and I could be in my room, y'all, because I love to read. Now I would stay in my room and read 8 to 10 hours, and my mom would come in there, come out of this room and get outside, because you stay here by yourself. And
Mhm.
she would say, I ain't know, but some demons gonna start talking to you and talking crazy to you and have you doing something. She
Mhm.
said, it ain't good to be by yourself like this, even though you like to read. put that book down and get out here and socialize some. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to be mindful of that. Just we need people.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
need
we were
human
designed.
connection.
We were designed for human connection, and we even have clients coming in. I know I have. I don't know if Tangi has had any clients that were coming in as of COVID. They don't want to get out anymore.
Exactly.
COVID put them into this shell, and they just want to stay there and hibernate and not even interact with people anymore. And they've had to come to therapy and counseling to break out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been even COVID has been impactful for a lot of people in that way.
And that's something you bring up. That's going to be really interesting when we really open up, because I'm wondering how many people will really have high anxiety
Well, they have
of
it now.
being
Mm-hmm.
in
Anxiety has
spaces.
increased for a lot of people because of COVID. People, I know when COVID first happened, I was working with clients that had OCD, and we were doing our best to help them break these cycles of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. If you didn't know what that was, of germs and all these things, and trying to get them not to be so focused on it. And then COVID hit, now everybody got a mask on, so this just justified everything they've been thinking the whole time. We were like, dang it, what we do now?
I knew I was right. I knew.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that's what we was dealing with when it came up to that. So now you got to try to explain why your OCD still is not rational, but you still got to wear this mask. That was tough.
Yeah, look, hey, they was like, I'm comfortable. Y'all were wrong. I'm the expert in this. The OCD person, like, I'm the expert. Y'all the ones got this wrong.
And you have
And
clients
it's
now that hide behind the mask because they have insecurities. They're insecure in themselves, and the mask is created an opportunity for them to hide from the world. You can't see me. You don't get to know me because now I'm hidden behind this mask. Even when I don't have to have it, you got people now that will still wear it. Because it's concealing me. It's like a safety net for them. That they get to hide behind this mask.
So look, I want to throw this out here to you all. We are a texting, emailing generation. It's almost like voice is offensive to people. You
Yes,
call some people,
definitely.
you can hear the edge, like, why you calling me? Why you didn't send a text? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But you all, we need to talk to people, because what I've discovered, I've called some folks, just somebody drop on my, I said, I start the text. I said, what, let me pick up the phone. And then it ended up being they really needed the conversation. To just have somebody to talk and listen to. So stop texting so much and take the time, y'all. Dial somebody's number and just say, hey, I was thinking about you. It don't have to be a long conversation. Believe it or not, there have been many suicides stopped when somebody made a phone call or simply reached out a person. They hadn't shared what they had planned to do. But I've seen a lot of testimonies of saying, I was getting ready to do this, but this person reached out to me, y'all. And we don't know, y'all. Smiling faces. What was that song? They tell lies.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because we need to realize too with suicide is that you can't encourage suicide by asking the question.
No, you cannot.
And most people are afraid. That's the biggest myth out there. Most people are afraid to say, have you thought about killing yourself? Because they feel like it's going to make them kill themselves. No, that is not the correct approach. You need to say, if you thought that somebody might be thinking about it, ask the question. Research shows that most people want you to ask the question. They are looking for somebody to care enough to ask the question. And they feel like nobody cares because nobody says it. So
wait a minute now, Val. You doing something contradictory to society now. Mind your own business.
No, you don't mind.
That ain't my business.
We can't mind our own business when it comes to that. We definitely
I'm my sister's keeper. I'm my brother's keeper. You don't sugarcoat it. You ask the question point blank. Have you thought about killing yourself? That is the appropriate way to deal with that. And if that happens, you get them help. Do you mind if I go with you to get help? Do you have a plan? If there's a plan, if they can tell you, yes, I've thought about it. And if they can tell you, yes, I have a plan, you need to seek help right away, because they have intent.
Yeah. And you know what else? Not only just with suicide, you think about some of these homicides where we found out these people been doing videos on IG and social media, clearly walking this path, and everybody's like, "Oh, I didn't think they were really going to do it." I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna report you.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm gonna give you the National Suicide
Mhm.
Hotline number so you can put it in the chat. But the National Suicide Hotline number is 1-800-273-8255. So if you're having thoughts of suicide, you can call that number. And I can give you another number, Val, you can put in the chat that you can text. It's a crisis line number that you can text.
Okay,
And
hold
it's a
on one
free
second.
number.
Okay, hold on.
And you can put that in the text too. But yeah, the National Suicide Hotline number is 1-800-273-8255.
Okay, and what's the next one?
The texting crisis line is it's a text. So you know the numbers look weird. It's 741-741. And then you can text.
So you would text that number, then they'll text you back.
Right. And these
I
are
had never
counselors
heard of
that
this one.
yeah, there are counselors available 24/7 that you can talk to.
The 7474 number or whatever you said. What number? What is that to?
741-741. You can put there like if you're sending a text, like where you would put somebody's phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can respond to you.
Well, who is that text message going to? Is that the
It
suicide
is
hotline?
yeah, so like a suicide hotline.
So if somebody's thinking about suicide, why would they text a hotline?
Because they're reaching out for help.
But
and they don't want to talk to somebody on the phone. They want to text. You know, society not texting, so they prefer to text.
That's interesting that you would take the time to text a message about suicide and wait on a response rather than calling somebody to get an immediate response.
People, again, you talking about the stigma of mental health.
Yeah.
People don't want to admit that I'm struggling.
They don't want to talk.
You don't want to talk. You don't, we're living in a society now that, like she said earlier, people would rather text than talk. So if I can text, you don't see me, you don't hear my voice, you don't know me, but I can reach out and make an attempt.
Do you have a bullying hotline?
We need
with bullying.
Because I'm dealing with a client right now that is in middle school who's being bullied.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with bullying at a school. And I say I don't see people under 16, but I took this one because they were being bullied, and I'm passionate about that.
Do you all give speeches at schools?
We need to. I wish we could get an invitation.
All right. Okay. All right.
Wow. Actually, wait a minute, Valencia. I'm looking at something. Looks like
What?
Actually, Stop Bullying is the same number for the National Suicide Hotline. I'm on website, so I guess they got it. So
whatever the situation is, you can call that same number. Yeah.
Good.
But yeah, bullying is real, and parents need to pay attention. School officials need to pay attention. Don't sweep it under the rug. I'm very passionate about that because I just remembered a young girl that lived not far from where I live that committed suicide, after school one day. That broke my heart, because nobody's listening to what these kids are experiencing and what they're saying. You feel like, oh, don't worry about it. They just talking about you. No, it's deeper than that. It's cyberbullying. It goes beyond just the little words that people used to say back in the day with us. Now they keep it going after hours. Now they got a hotline on social media. They just keep talking about you. You can't end it at 3:00 when the bell ring. They talking about you all night on social media. That's too much.
Well, I have a dear friend of mine. Her daughter actually wrote a book for little kids. My feelings are okay. And
I got that book.
Yeah, and it's really letting kids know that it's okay to have emotions. We have to learn how to control the ones that could be harmful to us. But I always tell people, if somebody is angry, they need to be able to let you know they're angry. And they was like, well, control your. Well, if you're angry, you don't need to be smiling and laughing and telling me. I need to know that you're angry, or if you're sad, that needs to be able to be shown versus suppressed. And then all of a sudden, it opens up that you go and shoot up the mall or just start shooting down the interstate or something or whatever it may happen, or killing yourself. which is tragic. And I think I never forget this, you all, in the midst of one of the wars, the key chaplain that was counseling everyone ended up taking his own life at the end of that. And of course, in retrospect, people start saying, "Oh yeah, he did start getting withdrawn," but nobody said anything because they thought he was strong because he was the counselor
Right.
with
And
everything.
that goes back to everybody needs somebody to talk to.
For sure.
The counselor, the therapist, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, look, we've enjoyed this. Look, we're gonna have to have y'all back on as hey, at least quarterly or something, so that we can
you all can be the host sometimes.
Wow.
talk about
We'll let y'all handle that part.
and everything. So look, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for joining us. And look, Valton and we're taking some time off.
Yes.
We won't
very
be
much
back
needed.
until January 13th for our mental health.
Very
Okay.
good.
That's called self-care.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
it
you
is.
all don't believe it. You all just think we just log on. No, we're doing emails. We're trying to reach out to people to get them on the show. And plus the rest of our lives working and everything.
Right.
Valton has his movie he's working on. So we're going to take 3 weeks off. And last week, you all, we had Valencia's co-parenting partner on. Alan Pruitt.
I love it.
So I got his permission because we loved his song. I mean, the rendition of what he did for "Oh Come All Ye Faithful" is simply beautiful. So we're gonna let you listen to this as we close out. And we want everyone.
Close out, I want to say thank you for having us on. And when I see you, I'm going to give you and Valton one of our Willow Grace Wellness little mugs with little trinkets in it. I can drink coffee.
Thank you so much.
So
thank you. When can I pick it up?
I will give it to Val on Sunday.
Oh Lord.
I got an Uber fee.
Whatever. I'll tell Beavers to let me have a few words from the pulpit.
And you let me know what size t-shirt. You let me know what size t-shirt you want too. I got you.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. Well, you all have a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. Stay safe. When this song ends, we will be out.
Gotcha.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all for being on the show, and thank our listeners for being with us for another year of Conversation is Art. We have enjoyed being with you. We intend and pray that we will see you in the new year. Absolutely. God bless you. God bless you. And God bless you.
God bless you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Say come. Oh, come. Let's say it again. Oh, come. It's an open invitation. Oh, come. Oh, come, all ye faithful. Come joyful.
And triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem.
Come and behold him. Say come. Accept this invitation. Come. Oh, come. Come before his presence with singing. Sing. come. And when we come into the presence of the Lord, come let us adore him, kneel down before him, tell him that we love him. He's Jesus Christ the King. Come let us adore him, kneel down before him, tell him that we love him. He's Jesus Christ the King. Say, come let us adore him, kneel down before tell him that we love him, tell him that we love him. Jesus Christ. Oh, come let us adore him, kneel down before tell him that we love him, tell him that we love him. Jesus Christ. Say, come let us adore him, kneel down before tell him that we love him, tell him that we love him. He's Jesus Christ. Oh, come let us adore him, kneel down before tell him that we love him, tell him that we love him. He's Jesus Christ. Say hallelujah, say hallelujah, glory to you, Jesus Christ. Say hallelujah, is the highest praise, and we give it to you, Jesus Christ. Say come, let us adore him. Oh come, let us adore him. Oh come, let us adore him. Say it again, say, let us adore him. Oh come, let us adore him. Oh come, hey, him, come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Oh come to the Master, the Savior, Redeemer. Oh come, oh come.
Good night.